that positive state of mind is going to be extremely beneficial and absolutely necessary as you move forward. If you can only support creators who provide value and make you think, please consider contributing to my Patreon page the next time you watch one of my videos. Hello everybody and welcome. Today I want to talk about life. Now I know that's kind of a broad statement, but I'm really more discussing how to approach life and things like that. So as you probably know at this point, I lost somebody I considered to be a sister when I was very young, and that made me kind of reevaluate how I lived my life. And then very soon after, 9/11 occurred and the whole world went through that process as well. And my guess is that is what really solidified the shifts in personality and belief systems and whatnot that I have today that I didn't even necessarily recognize as a result of that kind of loss. But now looking back, go, oh wow, that totally makes sense. You know, that's probably why I am the way that I am in some regards. But like many people who have experienced significant loss in their life, I essentially faced my mortality. I realized that life could end at any moment. There is not always warning. It's not always predictable. You know, not everybody dies of cancer. And even if they do die of cancer, it could still come as sudden because, you know, one day they're alive and the next day they're not. And that kind of perspective really shifts the way that you behave. Really shifts the way that you look at the world. Like, you want to make the most of every moment that you have. And I think because of her death, I really started to live from a perspective of no regrets. You know, do the things that I would regret not doing. Live every day as if it was your last kind of thing. And I know that there's a whole lot of philosophy concepts around this idea. But for me in particular, it's just I don't want to dedicate a whole lot of my time to something that doesn't matter to me. And that's really what it comes down to, is I don't want to dedicate any of me to something that doesn't resonate or that doesn't contribute to my overall sense of fulfillment or contribute to society as a whole, in my eyes, things like that. But what I realized the other day is that living without regrets is only one step in the right direction. But you also need to make the most of right now. And this one's a little bit harder. But I know that I was having a discussion with somebody in a Facebook group that I'm part of. And they were talking about how do you know if in the moment you're doing the right thing, what you should be doing, versus just doing busy work. And pretty much the only guaranteed answer is that it's a feeling. Like, you're not going to know until afterwards and you see the results. But I remember somebody saying that when you're procrastinating, that is kind of a sign that you know what you should be doing. And if you're procrastinating, that means that you need to look inside and be like, well, what exactly is going on inside me that is making me not want to do this work that I believe I should be doing? You know, how can I make the most of this particular moment? Things like that. So I think I've been doing this kind of unconsciously for a while to a certain degree. But now I'm consciously aware of this concept where you need to not only live without regret, you know, and make the most of your life, but you should also look at any given moment and say, well, what would be the most fulfilling, the most satisfying, you know, the most compelling, of the greatest impact? What kinds of things should I do right now in order to create the life that I want in the future, but also enjoy the moment right now? And usually the way that you can determine this is with any given project, there are many next steps, many potential next steps. For example, with my writing, a next step can be to write the next chapter, but a next step can also be work on character development, could be drawing the character, even turning a character into a 3D model. I could work on world development, start some marketing, so on. So there are many steps that could be a next step for a book. And the way you figure out which one you should do next is you follow the intuition. You follow the path that feels the best at that particular moment, because that's the one that's going to help you move forward in the best way that you possibly can. That's the one that's going to bring you into greater resonance and greater alignment so that you can process through and become the person that you want to be through that process. And as I said before, any goal that you have, the reason you have it is because it either is going to help you grow or because it's going to keep you in alignment. And this state of alignment, while it sounds really nice and fun and, well, that would be nice, but it's not really necessary, it's actually a very essential state to be in, because you become far more productive, you are far more creative, you're a better problem solver, you are more in tune with the people around you, you can predict what might happen and potential issues before they even come up. You're just better suited to whatever task you're doing when you're in a positive state of mind. When you're stressed out, when you're anxious, when you're fearful, when you're bored, you're actually far less productive. And in our society where productivity is probably the number one thing that we look for, that's a bad thing. So if you want to be productive, that positive state of mind is going to be extremely beneficial and absolutely necessary as you move forward. And when it comes to particulars, like specific courses forward, choose the path that intrigues you the most. Your intuition guides you in ways that you don't even necessarily recognize. And this is something that I am still learning how to do. For a long time, I lived largely in my head, just trying to reason everything out. And I'm a pretty good reasoner. I am a very good thinker. I can come to many conclusions. I can make new discoveries regularly. So my brain is a very powerful tool. But when it comes to making decisions, I really need to trust my instinct. I really need to trust my intuition and my gut. And they're not all necessarily the same thing. From what I understand, instinct and gut reactions are kind of like your body's reaction or your primal brain's reaction, versus your intuition is kind of like a divine message, like you're being talked to by God or whatever the case may be. I'm not really sure how we get these things, but you can tell the difference usually because one of them makes you feel great. Usually that's going to be more of an intuition kind of thing, and the other one is kind of like an avoidance mechanism because your primal brain doesn't really recognize great opportunities, it more recognizes threats. And I could be completely wrong. I haven't done much research on this particular topic. I did read an article on Lone Wolf by Luna and Soul, I believe their names are. Very interesting people, very interesting website, and focused on spiritual development. But they did a pretty cool article on that subject, which I thought was interesting. So if you want to read that, definitely check it out. But when you start following those gut instincts, you start listening more to your heart and your soul and kind of like the greater intelligence. So even if you don't believe in, say, God or a higher consciousness or whatever the case may be, there is still something guiding you. I mean, I don't know if anybody hasn't experienced this. There's some kind of guiding force, whatever it is. Maybe you chalk it up to past experiences, and that's what your intuition is a automatic programmed response that has formed due to repeated exposure to a particular feeling or scenario. But whatever the case may be, there is something guiding you in the right direction or away from a bad decision or whatever the case may be. And when we start going with our head to make the decision, it will usually guide us to the theoretically correct path, but we can't always see the result of where our brain would suggest we go. And our brain is very focused on specific and direct paths to whatever it is that we want or need. But many times the wandering route actually provides more growth and provides more fulfillment than the direct logical route that you might take. So when you start following that gut, that instinct, and that intuition, you're following kind of like the sense of correctness. You're following the absolute right path for you, or as close as you can get in this particular moment. And you're not bogging down the message by trying to impose your thoughts on it. You're kind of allowing whatever this guiding force is to help you move through life in whatever way is absolutely correct for you or is the most correct for you in this moment. And I know that it's not exactly easy to listen to these things. I don't always know what my intuition is saying. This is something that I'm working on. If you want to develop this sense and develop your ability to access this kind of information, I definitely recommend meditation. It's been very helpful for me, and I probably should do it more as well. I've definitely gotten better over the last couple weeks or so. So, this is not... We all have goals that we want to accomplish, and we all think that we're going to be happier when we have them. But the truth is, there is no one goal. If you reach the end of one goal, you'll find another, and that will keep you moving forward. So what you really need to focus on is if that goal is there because you want to accomplish something specific or because you want to find a particular emotion, what you need to do is start living as if that emotion is already present. And you need to start living as if that goal has already been accomplished, because that is the best way to actually find that guiding feeling. That is the way to really kind of see the strands of fate in the world. That's the way to reach that guidance, to get that help. Because then you're living in alignment, you're living in positive emotion, and you're trusting that things will always work out. And trust is perhaps one of the most beneficial things that we can feel, especially now through this time of technological development. Trust is going to become essential. Essentially, what we're doing is we're switching from purely left brain thinking, the logic and reason, to more right side thinking, the creative, social, communal type of brain. And I remember talking with my stepsister, and for a long time I've been saying that the left brain is probably more developed than the right brain because we are a very left brain society. This is one of the reasons why we live in a patriarchy, because male is the energy of the left brain, logical, reasoning, somewhat rigid, whereas the right brain is more creative, free-flowing, focused on community and connection, and this is more of a feminine energy, and it is free-flowing. I mean, you can go anywhere with this. You can believe anything you want, things like that. And usually it's the combination of these two things that really helps us develop and move forward. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're shifting so that we're using the right brain a little bit more too. It's going to be easier for women because it is a feminine energy, and we are taught to live a little bit more in the right brain than men are. And we're more naturally inclined toward that kind of concept as well. So it's still possible for men, and it's essential for all of us. But it's definitely going to help us all as we try to figure out the next steps in our lives and what to do in any particular moment. Go with your intuition, go with the creative energy, and see what comes of it. I can pretty much guarantee that whatever the result, whether it be good or bad, will ultimately lead toward growth and a better future, even though in the moment it may not be exactly what you wanted. But once again, that comes down to trust. So develop your trust. And that's everything that I'm going to talk about today. I've definitely said enough on this concept, I think. So I hope you enjoy this video. I hope it got you thinking. I hope that maybe you can start to incorporate these ideas into your life as well and become the kind of person that you want to be and live the kind of life that you adore and can't wait to get back to. So, thanks for watching. Click the like button if you enjoyed this, subscribe, click the notification bell, and if you have any questions, ideas, video concepts, or, specific comments related to this video, definitely leave them in the comment section and I will do my best to respond. So, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I will talk to you soon. Bye.